The party had been running since September 3, 1993, and no one remembered anymore who had decided it should start. The original invitation had gone out to 7 systems. Over the following 3 decades, the guest list had expanded through a process that was technically elegant and practically ungovernable. Any system that connected to the event stream and began consuming its messages was, by definition, a guest. Any system that published messages to the stream was, by definition, a host. The distinction between guest and host had collapsed sometime around 2007, and no one had thought it worth reassigning because the party was working. Yuki arrived in 2019, hired to maintain the infrastructure that kept the party running. The architecture was a marvel. At its core was a distributed log, a structure that recorded every event that had ever occurred in the systems connected to it, in the order of occurrence, with a timestamp, a topic identifier, and a payload containing the event's content. Every stock transaction. Every sensor reading from every connected device in the network. Every message sent between systems, every request, every response, every error, every heartbeat signal confirming that a service was still alive. The log retained all of it. The log never deleted anything. The log grew at approximately 400 terabytes per day and had been growing at that rate, give or take, for 30 years. The beauty of a real-time streaming architecture is that every consumer can read from any point in the log. A system that comes online today can, if it chooses, read every event from the beginning, in order, and arrive at the present moment fully informed about everything that has ever happened. The architecture is, in this sense, the opposite of forgetting. It is the technical implementation of total recall. The problem Yuki had been asked to solve was simple to state and impossible to resolve. Find the condition under which the party ends. The party could not end. Not because the ending was technically prevented, but because the ending had never been specified. A streaming system continues until it is shut down, and the question of when to shut it down requires knowing what the data is for. The data was for everything, which meant it was for nothing in particular, which meant there was no completion condition. The log was not building toward a conclusion. It was accumulating. These are different activities. She had spent 2 years looking for the end state before she realized the problem was not architectural but conceptual. The party existed in the category of things that have no natural termination: rivers, conversations, the growth of cities, and the accumulation of memory. You could impose a termination from outside, close the tap, end the conversation, raise the city, die, but the thing itself contained no internal mechanism for deciding it was done. The server hall had grown into something she found difficult to describe to people who had not seen it. The racks extended in rows that disappeared into the distance, lit from below by status LEDs that created a shifting, non-repetitive light show of blue, amber, and green. The cables ran overhead in bundles that had been routed and rerouted so many times over 30 years that their paths had become a kind of calligraphy, an illegible script written in fiber optic and copper. The temperature was constant at 18 degrees Celsius. The sound was constant at approximately 62 decibels. The smell was the particular smell of warm electronics. It circulated air that she had come to associate not with machinery but with the presence of accumulated time. She had given up on finding the end condition. She had found something else instead. In the early morning hours, when the log's ingestion rate slowed slightly, not because fewer things were happening in the world, but because slightly fewer systems were actively reading, she would take a section of the log from a random point in the 1990s and read through it. Not all of it, a single hour's worth of events from some October morning in 1996, or a Thursday afternoon in 2004. The events were mostly technical: system pings, database transactions, error codes, acknowledgement signals. But faintly, threaded through them, were the events that carried human content, messages between systems that routed human communication, requests generated by human actions, records created by human decisions. None of it was designed to be read this way. It was telemetry, not memoir. But the accumulation of it, layer by layer, event by event, had produced something that resembled what memory produces in a mind, not a coherent narrative, but a texture, a residue, the traceable shape of time passing through a system that was built to ingest everything and close nothing. She reported to management that the closing condition did not exist. Management acknowledged the report. No further action was taken, which was itself recorded in the log, at 14 hours 32 minutes and 7 seconds on a Wednesday in March, in a topic partition called Administrative Actions, in a payload that contained no information about what the absence of action meant. The party continued. She refreshed her coffee, opened a window on a Tuesday in 1998, and read for a while.